Yeah, I'm Griff Green. I used to work for Slockit, and we made the DAO. It's actually how I met Felix. We were both hanging out on the Slack a lot. These days, I'm working on a project called Giveth, which is it's kind of a DAO machine that is making DAOs for charities, though. I'm trying to organize people around building decentralized organizations around charities, or at least causes. And I have a master's degree in digital currencies, and I'm just kind of obsessed with everything that's going on in the blockchain world. So I have a really good foundational understanding. So if there's any other random questions that have nothing to do with this talk, throw them out there.
So here we go. It's all yours, Griff.
So I've given this presentation a couple times. Actually, one of the first times I gave it was in Copenhagen. So maybe if you guys happen to go to that conference, you've probably seen it. I'm going to try to zoom through it as quickly as possible because it's so much more fun to just talk to you guys, right? But so obviously everyone here, you're here because Bitcoin's incredible, right? It does all sorts of cool stuff. But a lot of people don't understand, and I mean it's very uncommon to even talk about, that Bitcoin is actually the world's first DAO, the decentralized autonomous organization. And really, I think in like 10 years, people will see that as being really important and really profound and being really part of the revolution that Bitcoin brought. It's going to be the start of a DAO revolution. In fact, I was actually having a debate with the Viddy guys last night about how, you know, a blockchain, is it a blockchain if it's not a DAO? And, you know, it's debatable because private blockchains are considered blockchains, but they're not DAOs because a bank blockchain isn't decentralized, right? So there's a lot of, even the idea of blockchain, to a lot of the people that are in this industry, kind of implies behind, like in a definition kind of way, that it is a DAO. So this is I think, really important. But what is a DAO, right? So a DAO is just another way for humans to organize themselves. It doesn't have to be so complicated, right? It's just, just like in any entity, organization, you're going to have people interacting with each other. For most organizations, you generally have legal contracts that keep people together, right? So you have a vendor agreement, you have an employment contract, and blah, blah, blah. But for and generally there's also a hierarchical structure. I mean, there are examples of not doing it the hierarchy way. I'm thinking like, what do they call that? Oh man, I'm blanking on it. I want to say like holographic, but that's not it at all. But either way, there are lots of cool organizational structures. But in a DAO, you always have no single points of failure, because that's kind of what it means to be decentralized. So with DAOs, you can be anywhere in the world and interact with this entity and be a part of this entity without having to really deal with middle management or you know, even giving your identity, because anyone can kind of just come in and come out. It's that kind of a decentralized structure, and it's also autonomous. So autonomous does not mean automated. DAOs do automate a lot of things, like over here, all the bureaucracy kind of goes away, right? So in a way, DAOs automate a lot of stuff, but generally autonomous actually means independent of outside forces. So if you create a DAO, like Slockit, we wrote an open source code. The company I worked for before, we wrote a bunch of code and put it on GitHub, and somebody else actually deployed our code on the blockchain, and we had no power over it. Once it was there, it was completely autonomous, and as just developers, we couldn't do anything when it got hacked and lost $60 million. But it's also an organization. So, for example, the internet is decentralized, and in my opinion, it's autonomous, but it's not an organization because it doesn't have its own self-organizing structure. So most DAOs have some sort of incentivization structure to put everyone in a place so that they can all have roles and understand and be incentivized to work.
Habe ich, ja klar. Und
Oh, what?
jetzt irgendwie VR-Applikationen habe ich ja auch Zugriff von Remote.
Oh, I think someone's mic is just not muted, but that's okay. So, Bitcoin is a DAO.
I'm just Felix, you wanna mute your mic? We can hear some German, but
I just muted
otherwise
my mic, so it's working.
Okay, great, thanks.
Cool. So Bitcoin is a DAO, and I'm just going to go really quickly to explain how Bitcoin is a DAO. So first, you have all of these miners and all these people interacting with Bitcoin, but but no one really knows who they are. No one really has to know who they are. Their identity is just pseudonymous, right? So you just if you want to interact with Bitcoin, you can be in Southern Africa or you can be in the United States. It doesn't really matter. All you need is an internet connection, and you can connect to the Bitcoin network. And if you generate a random number, someone can send you money, right? So the customers are decentralized. The miners are decentralized. Well, they're supposed to be. Like we were talking about how there's a lot of them in China, which we think there's a lot of them in China. To be honest, we don't really know. We don't really know where all the miners are. But what we do with Bitcoin is, if you are a miner, then you have some influence on how Bitcoin is run. And maybe I'll talk about that in a second. So Bitcoin is autonomous. As Felix mentioned, Satoshi Nakamoto made Bitcoin and wrote it and deployed it and worked with a couple other people to perfect it. But in the end, Satoshi just disappeared. No one knows who he is, and that doesn't matter because Bitcoin is independent on its own. All that matters is that the protocol is being used on people's computers. And then it's an organization. So Bitcoin has its own incentive structure that keeps everybody working together, right? And this is the organizational part is what really gets me excited, because it's just this new way that you can just kind of put out a role. You just say, hey, if you decide to run this program on your computer, we will send you this digital money. And then you just let people do it. You don't have to be somebody's boss. The incentive, the code is the boss. And it kind of says what you get in a secure way that everyone can trust. Okay, I'm going to skip a bunch of stuff I normally say. And we're going to go straight into smart contracts. So Bitcoin itself, in my opinion, a Bitcoin transaction can be said to be a smart contract, right? If you think of what you do when you send somebody Bitcoin, when I take Bitcoins that are associated with my random number and assign them to someone else's random number, which is what happens when you send Bitcoins, I am basically skipping the normal path that people do, of where you have a legal contract with a bank that says that you have money, and that bank has a legal contract with the central bank, which has a legal contract with the settlement agency, which has a legal, if I'm sending from Denmark to the United States, which the conference demanded to do. By the way, I tried so hard to get reimbursed for my travel fees for that conference that we went to in Bitcoin, but I couldn't get it because they demanded to work within the legal contracts. And so luckily I had a legal contract with Wells Fargo, and they had a legal contract with some banking in Copenhagen. And a bunch of supporting legal contracts work together to magically make money disappear in their account and appear in my account. Whereas with Bitcoin, it's just type in a code. The contract is literally the protocol itself. That big monstrosity of code. It's kind of just this one big smart contract that says miners get this many 12.5 Bitcoins per block. If they, they only get it if they validate that all the transactions, and blah blah blah. If you're a user of Bitcoin, you're implicitly agreeing to the finality of that transaction and all the other things that go on with storing Bitcoins. And then you have this kind of big smart contract between everyone who's interacting with the Bitcoin blockchain. So with Ethereum, they use that as kind of the base layer to build other contracts. any contract you can imagine, because the Bitcoin scripting language, you can write smart contracts like multisigs on Bitcoin. But the Bitcoin scripting language is really limited. I believe they removed the opcode for "and." Okay, so you can't really do that many complicated things with smart contracts on Bitcoin. But on Ethereum, they have a Turing complete programming language, which means anything you can imagine you can do, right? And so, oh, I should have clicked that a while ago. So a smart contract to me is just a contract that's enforced by a blockchain. That's kind of how I define it. And with Ethereum, you can take that base layer transaction type smart contract and kick it up a couple notches. You can make it an employment contract. You can make it dependent on 7 people voting it with a different number of tokens, and if it reaches 63%, then this thing happens, right? You can build voting contracts, which is really cool, and I'm sure I'll talk about that. If you guys want to learn more about smart contracts, which I highly recommend, I really, really can't tell you how much opportunity there is in this space. So if you want to dive in, I would recommend trying to learn a little bit of Solidity. What I mean by opportunity is, well, so these are some links, but maybe you can get them off my slide later. They're kind of old. There's probably even better tutorials out there. I've never even worked with Truffle, which is probably maybe not the place to start, but it's what you want to head to if you're going to learn smart contracts and the programming language. But I just want to say really quick that if you try to think of a startup using the internet in some way, there's probably 100 people already working independently on that exact idea, and there's a lot of competition. But in the blockchain world, there's very little competition. You can think of an idea using the blockchain to solve some sort of unique problem, and either there might be one group doing it and they'd love to have you on their team because they're understaffed, or you'll be all by yourself anyway. So there is so much opportunity, and I really can't recommend, since you guys are already in the IT world, you have a leg up and you can just kind of dive in. We need your guys' help, right? But that's an aside. So with the ability to make more complicated smart contracts. Oh, actually, before I go, I had another poll. This is kind of backtracking, but did it make sense to you guys that Bitcoin is a DAO? Maybe Philip can. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm launching it now.
Yeah.
So maybe explain this question while the poll is open. What do you mean by?
I just want to make sure that you guys actually understand what kind of a DAO is and how Bitcoin fits that definition.
Cool. So people are voting. I hope they understand. There's a clear tendency here.
I'm going pretty fast, and so I'm gonna. If you guys don't really fully understand that, I'm gonna lose you pretty soon.
But you're not losing them, so even if people are still voting, just share that almost everybody are saying yes.
That's it.
It does make sense. So
I think you guys are just being nice to me, but I'll take it.
Cool.
It even went back to the right spot.
Yep.
Okay, so now that we can use this more complicated DAO, the Ethereum itself, just like Bitcoin, is a DAO, has almost the same structure, just like some little changes that people decided to add in. Now we can use, within the ecosystem of Ethereum, we can use the programming language called Solidity to build more complicated smart contracts that can do really cool things. So one of the most common style of DAOs is where you create the smart contract, and anyone who wants to be a member of that DAO can send money to it, right? Now, in this case, you'll send Ether to this smart contract. And it's just like Bitcoin, where people have this random number that controls their Ether, right? But in Ethereum, you have another random number that actually isn't controlled by anyone at all. It represents an application on the Ethereum network. Okay, so I'm going to back up really quick and explain a little bit about Ethereum. Ethereum calls itself the world computer. because instead of Bitcoin, where you have a blockchain that lists out every individual transaction, this random number sent Bitcoin to this random number, and so on and so on. That's kind of how the Bitcoin blockchain is structured. In Ethereum, you actually have lines of code being processed in every block. So that line of code can send money from one number to another, but it can also be creating an application that will stay on the blockchain. And so now you have this set of code that you can just plant on this blockchain that will be there forever, that everyone can access and interact with. And in that way, the blockchain itself acts. It's a trustless ledger, but it's also in some ways like a hard drive, storing applications on it. And the miners can be asked to run code off of that hard drive, off of the blockchain. And so the miners act as kind of a CPU on demand. And of course, the miners are decentralized. Anyone can be a miner. There's an incentive structure in place. So because of that, you have this, a relatively crappy computer, right? It's pretty slow, and there's a lot of lag time because the block time is 15 seconds, much better than 10 minutes, but still 15 seconds in our ADD culture is an eternity, right? So it's still kind of a mediocre computer, but it has incredible security, zero downtime, and it's completely open and transparent for anyone in the world to interact with. So there's pros and cons. Okay, so that's Ethereum. And then you can create an application on Ethereum which describes your organization, right? So you can write this contract that says if somebody sends money to this organization, they get voting tokens. And for every ether that's sent, you get 1 voting token. And then you can decide, well, with this voting token, you can make it kind of simple. If 50 out of 100 voting tokens, let's say 50 out of 99 voting tokens, I'll say that we should send money here, then the money is sent there, right? But you can go way more crazy than that. You can create a liquid democracy. You can create a futurarchy. I mean, people have these really incredible ideas on how to govern people and how to the best way for groups to make decisions. There's a lot of experimentation going on. But maybe I'll talk about that in a second. With this style of DAO, you can really just have people that have a desire to make a change in the world send money to this contract. And then with that contract can, just like how the Bitcoin blockchain incentivizes miners to mine, that contract can then incentivize people to make that change a reality. So you have this really interesting way that you can create, that you can connect the people with the money and the desire to change the world directly to the change makers that have the plan and the time to do it with nothing in between them, just computer code. Right? And this is, to me, this is what it's really exciting me. It's what's excited me about Ethereum ever since I heard about it. And that's what I'm working on right now, is to use this strategy to create some sort of decentralized charity in a way, right? So let's, I kind of go through how first you want to write the code. So the cool thing about Ethereum is all the code. Okay. Is there, I'm going to rely on you, Philip, to just tell me if someone has a good idea.
It's fine. So ask your yes and no question and just ask people to raise their hand.
Sure. Well, actually, I have a fill-in-the-blank question. Please, could someone tell me some kind of change they want to see in the world, something like a charity of some sort that would be really cool for everyone to send money to, and then have other people guess, or other people try to solve that problem in a decentralized way. So if you guys
what you're asking is actually people to give you some ideas, and everybody, you can just use the questions button. We'll read them out loud to Griff. So do not everybody raise your hand unless you have a great idea for Griff that you want to have the microphone and tell him about.
Yeah.
So it would be nice with a little question activity with some ideas. Maybe you can repeat your question, Griff. What would you like the audience to give you?
I just want to have a cause that we want to get people to rally behind.
Okay, so let me give you one, because yesterday on television we had a big collection to stop hunger in the world, and and national television raised some million kroners. So that could be one idea. How could we perform that activity through Ethereum and whatever you're speaking about next year?
Yeah, well, I hope next year. We're going to do some beta tests first. But ending world hunger is one of my favorite charities. For some reason I really love food. I don't know about you guys. I wish everyone had a lot of it. So I would throw money into that for sure. And I think that we have the abundance in this world to actually end world hunger. So this should be easy, right? Why isn't it happening? Well, let me just...
There's another two ideas. Would you like me to read them out since they're popping in?
I've done ending world hunger too many times. I wanted something fresh.
Okay, fresh. Idea here from Frederick Gabriel: a greenback currency. Instead of money backed by gold, money could be hacked by planted trees. So we donate to a new kind of back currency. Is that too crazy an idea for you?
I mean, that's not. I might revise it a little bit and just say we want to, we want to create, because that's effectively what you do when you create a DAO. If you create a DAO to end world hunger, or you create a DAO to plant trees, you are effectively creating a currency. In a way, you're creating a currency that is backed by those actions. Right now, Bitcoin, everyone says Bitcoin's not backed by anything. Bitcoin is backed by the mining complexity, the computational power of the miners on the blockchain. Bitcoin is literally backed by a bunch of people guessing random numbers. I shouldn't say people, machines guessing random numbers as quickly as possible. And so, in this
Another
case,
idea here, if you can grasp more from Christopher Luckland, then you can merge all these ideas into your speech.
Sure,
but what about free transportation with a decentralized Uber powered by driverless cars?
Wow. Well, that's Swarm City. They're already doing that. I think I'm going to stick with the planting trees one
Okay.
because
Thank you, audience.
it's more. Yeah, thank you guys. Because if you want to decentralize Uber, well, first off, Slockit was kind of doing something like that, but also Swarm City is an incredible project. In fact, they're using some code that my team, the Giveth team, wrote for their currency. So we're very well connected with them. And I really hope that you guys check them out, because decentralized Uber is happening. It's been happening for a couple of years, and yeah, it's really cool. But
And just a time reminder here from the organization cockpit. We have kind of 16 minutes left of this wonderful journey. So if we want to have some Q&A in the end, maybe we should bear that in mind.
Sure. So I'm just going to go through this example of trees, planting trees, and then the speech is done. So let's say that somebody has a great idea. I want to plant more trees. I just want to get as many trees planted as possible. And so you create a DAO to do that. First step you're going to do is go grab some code. Right now, my Giveth project is trying to create an open source library of building blocks. So you can just grab these pieces and create whatever DAO structure you desire. So you get those proven pieces of code, you put them together, and you deploy it on the blockchain. Once it's deployed on the blockchain, you got to promote it, right? No one's going to send money to you if you just hang out in your room. You're going to need to get on Facebook and social media and say, hey guys, I have this great idea, this DAO that's built around, that is going to incentivize people to plant trees all over the world. We're going to turn this world into a forest. And so then you have all of this money. It's almost like a big grant proposal. You have, let's say a $10 million just sitting in this DAO, waiting for people who want to plant trees to say, I'm going to plant trees. So you're going to, when you deployed the code, you had kind of some sort of governance system set up so that people can say, hey, I want to plant 30 trees in this neighborhood, and I'm gonna go do that. This is how I'm gonna do it, and they kind of prove to themselves that yeah, they're a real person and all that. The cool thing is that you have this global network of people. Anyone in the world can plant trees, because planting trees in LA, like Los Angeles, is very different than planting trees in Saudi Arabia, right? So if you really want to put trees all over the world, it's nice to have this permissionless access to the structure where anyone can propose this idea. And so then the great thing is that when you send money to this thing, unlike a normal charity, which, another aside a little bit, money is really weird, right? We are trained to act a certain way with money. When I go to a sandwich shop and I say, I would like a sandwich, and here's some money, I don't just kind of hope I get a sandwich that I like. With charity, you send money in and you hope that you get a solution. With a sandwich and everything else, you say, I want it on rye bread, pickles on the side, extra mustard, and extra cheese, please. So I think this is a major issue with charities in general, that people don't believe that their money is going to be spent well because they have no authority over how it is spent. And that happens, whereas that's the normal situation with money in general. So we can actually create that same situation in this DAO, where people get proposals approved, but maybe they don't actually get the money until they have a selfie with a baby tree in a park, and or they can actually show a receipt where they bought this tree with the tag, and then plant it there and be like, look, the UPC codes match. And they can, and then the money gets sent to them as a reward, right? And you can do really cool structures. You don't have to do it that way, but that is actually now an easy option. So this is the kind of strategy. And now the other thing is, how do you pick which proposals to fund? And I really want to go into liquid democracy really quickly because it's so cool. And it's this idea that you can have a representative democracy that it can be elected at any moment. So in this DAO, where everyone wants to plant trees all over the world, if you're donating to it, you don't necessarily want to spend your time looking at the trees that are being planted in Saudi Arabia. Is this guy a scammer? I don't know. Often you want to delegate that task to somebody else. In the normal world, you delegate that task for the government. You vote on a representative, and then 4 years later or whatever, you get to vote for him again, and you just kind of have to hope that he does a good job. But with this, you can actually tokenize your vote, and you can send a token to one person or to 6 people that you trust are tree experts, and they know, and maybe they also know who's a scammer, who's not. They have some kind of reputation score or some sort of algorithm that they use to decide where your funds get spent. And at any time, if you don't like how they're about to vote, you can actually take your vote away from them and send it to somebody who's going to fund a project that you do believe. So this is liquid democracy, and it's really powerful, and it's actually happening in politics right now. There's a Flux Party in Australia. They are trying to elect somebody in Western Australia pretty soon, where they're just going to kind of hack the system and put up a representative, but he's only going to do whatever the liquid democracy beneath him tells him to do. So anyway, that's an aside. But you can do all these cool governance systems with DAOs, and because of this new technology that we have. Okay, so I think that's all I have to really say. I really wish I didn't spend so much time because I wanted to have lots of questions. So what do you guys think? What do you guys want me to talk